I'm really loving being older.
Yeah.
And sort of coming into the richness of what that can afford you, you know. Yep. And I've never been scared of like moving into being old. I like looking ugly on stage. I like blacking my teeth out. I love all that.
Hi, and welcome to your Access All Areas podcast, where we talk candidly to Australia's finest performing artists about their lives and the lessons they have learned along the way. So welcome to McLaren Versus. Today I am joined by an icon of the Australian stage, from her very first lead role at the tender age of 19, playing Mabel, through to her unforgettable turn as Christine Daae in The Phantom of the Opera. This leading lady's extraordinary voice and magnetic presence have made her a household name. She has an Order of Australia for her creative contribution to the nation and has toured everywhere, from Wonthaggi through to the bright lights of the big city. But beyond the spotlight, her journey is one of resilience, reinvention, and a deep love for her craft. I can't wait to dive into her remarkable career and explore the passion that continues to drive Marina Prior. Marina, welcome.
Thanks, Spencer. Lovely to see you.
You too. Thank you. I know how busy you are at the moment, because we catch you at this point in time midway through the Melbourne season of the arena tour of Les Mis.
Yes.
And I believe you're also learning Kimberly Akimbo right now.
Yeah, so I'm about to start this wonderful new show, Kimberly Akimbo, by Janine Tresori and David Abair, who wrote Fun Home. It's a beautiful piece, but it's really soprano-y, and Madam T is really sort of, down and a bit guttural. So my voice has got no idea what's going on at the moment. I'm very confused.
Well, look, we'll talk a little bit more about both of those, I think, a little later on.
Yep.
If I can, I'd love to just go back to the beginning and sort of say, when you were growing up, were you someone who sort of craved the spotlight, or did you discover kind of performance in a quieter way?
I didn't crave the spotlight, but I craved creativity. I craved music. I wanted to sing. I wanted to create. I lived in a real sort of make-believe sort of world. And I remember going to my mum when I was about 5 and telling her that I was going to be a singer and that I was going to be on the stage. I remember telling her, like, very seriously. And I always remember her response, because she took me really seriously, and she said, well, if that's what you think you're going to do, I bet you're going to do it. So there was no resistance.
How do you think that by 5 you had that astonishing sense of purpose and drive? Because obviously some people don't find it so early.
No, of course. I just knew it. It's like singing and performing, creating, it's who I am. It's not just what I do. And I think even it was just inherently in me. I come from a musical family, like my grandmother was a singer, my great aunt was a singer. Like, I just think it was in my bones, in my spirit, whatever it was. I knew. No one told me. I knew. I did sing, though, all the time, and even as a little girl, people would say, "Oh, hasn't she got a nice voice?" But
yeah.
It was just it was an innate desire.
It's interesting hearing you talk about, it's what I am, not just what I do, because I find that really interesting, right? We have phrases here in Australia where, you got to work to live, and some people live to work and that kind of thing. And we separate this thing. And I feel like a lot of people do work jobs that aren't their passion, or that don't feed their soul. And I think clearly, like I said, it feels like you found that at a very young age and went, this is the right flow for me.
I just knew that that's what I wanted to do. Yes, I just never, and I had an unwavering sense of belief that I would do it. And I don't mean in a really big sort of egotistical way. I just knew that I was going to do this. I always I was a really shy, quiet little girl, but I always had this sense of purpose that I know where I'm going. I know where I'm heading. I'm going to do music. I didn't know in what form. I thought I was going to be Kate Bush or someone.
Yeah.
Like, I didn't know exactly what until I think when I was a young girl, I went to the theatre and I went, oh, that's what I'm going to, that's it. That's what I want to do.
So that's my next question. Actually, is, what did you see that really shaped you at that age? Because you're a sponge, really, then, aren't you? Like, influences and open to it. And I'm intrigued to see, whether did you see Gilbert Sullivan? Did you what thrilled you?
Well, my mum and dad were Gilbert and Sullivan singers. Actually, they were like in amateur productions of GNS. So I was exposed to that music really early, and we often had people over at our place sitting around the table, around the piano, singing. So it was just, I knew the music, I knew the songs, but I remember when I was very young, my mum took me to see Irene with Julie Anthony, Nancy Hayes, Noel Ferrier, and my mother and my grandma took me along, and my grandma, who was a rather awful lady, we had great seats. We had like 4 rows from the front, and she maintained that the orchestra was too loud, and so as soon as the orchestra struck up, my grandmother went like that.
Oh, wow. That's a positive experience for everyone around as well.
A musical grandma. She wasn't that side. And but I remember thinking it was magical, and going to the stage door. I think it might have been the Princess Theatre, and getting Julie Anthony signed to my program when I was really little. But really probably the turning point was when I was a bit older. I went to see Jesus Christ Superstar with John English and Trevor White, and the music, everything just blew me away. And I remember both of those moments being really, really sort of a watershed thing for me.
Yeah, I mean, musically, very different experience.
Very.
It's kind of like, okay. But, with yourself as well, early on, a lot of soprano, and then later on going, I might do a bit of belt over here and playing around down there. So, I'm glad you had some early influences that weren't just the soprano.
They were diverse.
Yeah, which is amazing. So if I was to ask you now, obviously, you've done so many wonderful performances, but what is it about this career that continues to feed you now? Like, what is it that you love? What do you?
I love the evolution of what I'm doing, in that I started very much the ingenue, and I always played the good girl, the sweet girl, and the one with the nice high voice, which was great. And it afforded me some wonderful roles, absolutely wonderful. But what feeds me now is exploring character and comedy and the music. You know what? The same things that fed me way back then, they still feed me now. It never gets tired. The thrill of actually having an audience respond is absolutely magnificent. And doing comedy and hearing an audience back it's like a drug. And sorry, my cat's about that.
I just saw some whiskers. I saw some whiskers. I was like, "Ooh, we're going to have an appearance."
It's the cat. No, she's So yeah, and what also really pushes me is I just love challenges. I love challenging other people's expectations of my own expectations of who I am and what I can do. And I love the tribe that you have in a cast. I love theatre people. I love the rituals. I love the warm up. I love the half hour call. I love it all.
It's your happy place.
I know it sounds really sort of glib, but I really do love it all. Yeah.
It doesn't sound glib at all. Do you still have like a singing lesson every week or
not every week, but I've got the same singing teacher, Merlin Quaife.
Still, yeah.
That I had when I started with her when I was 14 or 15. I was lucky enough to go to a really good school that had a separate music school, and she was a private singing teacher there. And then when I went on to uni, she was the head of voice at Melbourne at my uni, which was really handy.
Yeah.
And now she lives out of Melbourne. I'm in Melbourne. She lives in Bendigo. But I drive down to see her. Sometimes I see her like sort of for a couple of months. I'll see her every 2 weeks, and then I won't see her for a year. But then whenever I've got something new or new material or whatever, I go back to her.
Like a transition phase, or like you're saying before about Madam T and Kimberly Kimber, very different vocal sort of things.
Yeah.
You're trying to kind of tune into a new thread on your bow, if I can use those metaphors.
Yes, exactly. And she's such an extraordinary technician. And just recently we did Follies together at the Victorian Opera, and we actually performed together for the first time ever. She played Hailey Schiller, the beautiful opera singer who sings Just One More Kiss, and that was so special to actually be on stage with her.
Oh, how wonderful.
Amazing.
Hearing of you talk about that drive we were talking about, for when you were young, you just felt like that's my path. It does look like from the outside that you had this charmed, almost textbook perfect run from where you started to the top, right? So that it's a meteoric rise.
Yeah.
Your first professional audition, and you land the role of Mabel in Pirates of Penzance. From there, it's Guinevere in Camelot, opposite Richard Harris, at the time probably one of the most world-famous performers around. And I think I did mention to you when we first met, that was the first time I saw you. That's the first show I ever saw was Camelot. Yeah. Then Cosette in Les Mis, and then Christine in Phantom, and that really sort of cemented your position there. What was it like from your side? I can't imagine it was free from challenges or doubts, fears, those kind of things.
Well, I was at uni, and I went along literally to a cattle call, which I don't think they really do anymore, but it was like a completely open audition. Anyone could go, and everyone did go. It was at the unrenovated Princess Theatre, and there was hundreds of people. They advertised in the newspaper, and they said there's this new Broadway version of Pirates. And so a group of friends from uni and myself just went, oh, what? Wow, I've never done a real audition. I wasn't even in Actors Equity or anything, So I just turned up, and I had no doubts. I was so young and so kind of I hadn't developed self-doubt at all. And so I walked in thinking, I reckon I can do this. And I didn't complicate it with sort of getting any performance anxiety whatsoever. And I got it. Just walked in off the street, basically. I mean, I hadn't done anything. I was a busker, and I used to busk when I wasn't at uni just for extra money. That was almost the extent of my experience.
Yeah, and you were studying voice at uni, correct?
Yes, I was doing music and drama. Yeah. So that was incredible, and that first show was just so joyous. There was a little bit of some of the older people, not the principals were extraordinary. Some of the older ladies of the ensemble were a little bit like, who the hell do you think you are coming along and doing this.
Little Miss Upstart, straight off the street.
Yeah, but people like June Bronhill, she was an incredible mentor to me, and John English and Simon Gallagher, couldn't have been kinder, and John Wood, more generous, more supportive. It was I didn't complicate it. It wasn't until maybe sort of 6, 7, 8 years in, I started to, you'd get, first of all, everything was wonderful. Isn't she brilliant? Isn't she fabulous? And then a few years later, you get your first bad review. And you think, oh my God, they hate me. I'm terrible. And then I went through a bit of, dreading that perhaps people didn't think I was any good. I became to be aware of other people's opinions.
Are you someone who reads reviews these days, or no?
No, I'll let people tell me if they're good.
Yeah. Happy to hear some good news, isn't that one? Oh, that's great,
Yeah, but no, I learned. Look, the thing is, I've been doing what I do for 41 years. I think I'm an expert now, and that's not vanity. I should be.
Yeah,
I should be.
Yeah.
And so, some blogger or, some person who's got way less understanding or experience than me, I don't take it on. I just think, what are you going to do? I'm still here.
Yeah.
What can you do to me?
And yeah, exactly.
You may like me, you may hate what I do, whatever, but in the end, I've learned that it does not matter.
Yeah, you do the job, you enjoy it.
It makes no difference. No, it makes no difference. But I learned the hard way,
Yeah. I know.
Yeah.
Did you ever feel sort of, especially in those early roles, like you said, that sort of very soppy sort of thing, do you ever feel typecast or kind of limited then by what people would think of you for and sort of say, because I think in my experience of this industry is a little bit cyclic, right? You've got all the traditional style musicals, then we all go, we want rock, this is what we want now, and then we want pop, and then we go, let's do some classical again, and and so you can ride the waves of that, and it can be good or bad. I just wonder if you felt stuck or limited.
I definitely felt pigeonholed. I think perhaps it's changing in this country, but I do feel like we do pigeonhole people in this country, even in terms of you're a music theatre actor, so therefore you're not an actor. You're not, which is absolute nonsense.
Agreed.
I don't subscribe to it. Because you can sing doesn't mean that you can't act. It's sort of because you can dance doesn't mean you can't act. It's a funny thing. I think we do tend to pigeonhole people. Not that many music theatre people say cross into television. It's rare, as you know. I mean, you've done it, but yes, I felt very much. I felt typecast in the ingenue romantic lead role. Having said that, I was really grateful for those roles, and I tried to make those roles as three-dimensional and interesting as possible, rather than just take the easiest, sort of most basic route. I always wanted to make Cosette a real person who was, had a really dramatic journey, as with Christine. I mean, Christine does really. As Maria in West Side Story.
Great show, by the way. Great show, yes.
Great show. Yeah, there was a great young guy in it called Spencer.
Oh, yeah, he was amazing.
He played Tony opposite me.
I know, right? I know. We had our first, sounds like we've kissed many times on stage, but we haven't. That was our moment.
Yes, only.
Yeah.
Yes, that's true. So, yes, I did. However, it's not something I was sort of complaining about, because I was really happy to be playing those roles. But just quietly in my own mind, I was planning to move into more character work and comedic work. And, I had a plan. I was invited to do Guys and Dolls, and they asked me to play Sarah Brown, the good girl.
Yes.
And I said, this was the first, I've done it twice. This is at the production company, and then I did it again for Ambassador Group, big production of it. But, and Roger, the wonderful director, Roger Hodgman, was directing Guys and Dolls, and they'd asked me to play Sarah. And I called him and I said, could I audition for Miss Adelaide? Because I want to do that. I've been dying to do those sort of roles. And thank God he said, yeah, come in. And, I actually had people telling me it was career suicide, literally those words. You're committing, you don't know what you're doing, you're going to ruin your career. And
so it's...
And then I got Miss Adelaide, and that was the turning point, really.
Yeah, and interestingly, like you said, we're talking about being pigeonholed and that, did you feel any of that fear because, like you say, people do say wrongly that this will destroy things, what are you doing, all of that, and a lot of people, especially to be honest with you, with someone like yourself at that point, really at the height of your powers, you've done a lot, household name, all of that, to kind of go, I'm going to do this, for many can be scary. But it sounds from what you've said there that, again, you just had that confidence in going, this is the path I want to go on.
I knew I had it in. I just knew I had it in me. I used to always be in shows, and I remember doing Anything Goes, and I played Hope Harcourt, and I used to watch wonderful performer Jackie Ray playing Irma, who's the hilarious comedic sexy character role, gorgeous role. And I used to watch it and think, oh God, I'd love to do that. I used to, and even when I was doing Les Mis, I used to watch the gorgeous Robin Arthur doing Madame T and think, that must be so much fun. That must be so much fun. So I always had it in the back of my mind, or right actually in the front of my mind, that I wanted to push into this sort of stuff. So
did you have the support of your agent? I presume you did, the beautiful Mark Gogol.
Very much so. He always believed in that side. He knew me, and he knew that, you know, Marina, the person having a chat with you, is very different to Marina on Carols by Candlelight, you know.
Absolutely, absolutely.
So
you know,
he knew that I had that sort of stuff inside me. No, he was very, very, very supportive. In fact, he worked with me on my audition for Roger. He's sort of someone I really trust, and he worked with me leading up to the audition. Yeah.
Am I right in remembering that he was also in the chorus of Pirates?
Yes. But the second season, not the one I did, but we did do after Pirates.
Let's not ruin a good story, Marina. Let's not ruin a good story.
No, but he was in Pirates. He was in Pirates, but unfortunately not in the return season. I'd gone on to Cats, but we did HMS Pinafore, and we were in that together. And he was responsible for me corpsing on stage, which for the uninitiated is laughing.
Yes.
On stage, Mark Gogol, it's his fault. He used to be so funny and so naughty. We had so much fun in that, yes.
Well, he's still funny and naughty, so.
He is. But, you know, he's also got, it's wonderful because he's been a performer and a director. He's got that sensibility. He's not just an agent. He really empathises and understands performers and what you've got to do, and that's invaluable. It's wonderful.
Yeah. Having someone like that around as well, you know, your rise at a young age, there's a lot of pressure, you know, having well, whenever it happens, to be honest.
Yes.
You go into, you know, the public eye in some way. How did you cope with that? How do you go from being Marina at home to then, you know, that thing where people just look at you, you know, and you...
Usually now they look at me and they say, do I know you?
or did we go to school together?
No, I do. I get that. Are you a school mum from, you know?
Yeah.
When I was young, look, it was much more full on, you know.
Yeah.
A long time ago. I'm way more under the radar now.
Is there a particular character you've played so far that has left a mark on you, like good, bad, otherwise? You know, everyone has a Cats injury they can talk about.
Oh, that's
you know,
true. I've got a funny knee from Cats. You know, every character or every show that I've done has honestly, it sounds like I'm not answering the question, but it's taught me something different. Cats freed me up physically and really pushed me into having to be able to move and dance, you know, in a show. Christine in Phantom really taught me stamina and discipline, because it's a big sing and you're dancing on point, and it's, you know, you're never really off. That taught me sort of endurance and stamina, and how to be able to maintain doing 8 shows a week without, you know, blowing a head gasket kind of vocally. Guys and Dolls taught me working comedy with the audience. Then moving into plays at MTC, that taught me a whole lot more about sort of vocal projection and stuff, like, you know, in dialogue. I mean, so is there one that's, every single one that I've done, I take something from. I always fall in love a little bit with every character, and I miss them when I leave them.
Yeah.
And I use, so what I've learned, what I might have learned in Les Mis this time, I'll probably take into the next show.
Yeah.
So there's always something that I take from everything I do, and everyone I work with. I always learn from, whether they're younger than me, older than me. I like to sit in rehearsals and just watch everyone and absorb and, you know, think, steal, go, oh, that's a good trick, I might try that.
Yeah. Oh, great. Fair enough. Just revisiting that concept of reinvention, you know, for a minute, because I think you know, it's something you've talked about a lot in interviews that I've read, you know, preparing for this and seen over time. And for many, though, it's like people don't change, right? They kind of stay and drag it out to the bitter end and then kind of vanish off the face of a cliff because there's nothing they can do because they're no longer 20, you know,
exactly.
or whatever it is. And it's interesting that you cottoned onto that, again, what seems like a really obvious thing, you know, quite early and had that in your thought process. And, you know, you've talked a little bit about Les Mis and obviously Cosette to Madame T, and I came and saw you the opening the other night, and I grabbed Mark afterwards and went, she's glorious, she's glorious. Because I've known you for many years now, and I feel like it's gone up yet another notch. Like I expected you to do an awesome job, but like you literally walked out and I just went, I don't know what I expected, but that wasn't necessarily it. But I just adored what I was seeing, you know, the accents so grounded, so earthy, and just truthful in an arena, right? How you project truth to, you know, 15,000 people, I'm not quite sure, but you did it exceptionally well. And, you know, opposite, you know, Matt Lucas, you know, another hack, gosh, useless.
Yeah, hopeless. Not funny at all. No, not funny at all. No.
Have you stolen anything from him yet? You know?
Oh, lots. Yeah, he's really clever. Obviously, he's one of the most successful comic geniuses in the world, you know, to date.
Yeah.
Yes, I've learned a lot from Matt. He keeps it really truthful. He keeps it, even though you can be big. You can be as big as hell, and sometimes, like, you know, you can see my Madame T from Mars, I think, you know, but as long as it's truthful, as long as it's grounded in truth, it will work. And also, surprisingly, in that big arena that we're playing, because we have those fantastic HD, real moving screens that are so close up, you can also raise an eyebrow or you can have a thought go across your eyes, and the audience, that's the genius of putting this production on, is that everybody can see what's going on in your face as well as the spectacle. So he plays everything like in his eyes, even though he's in that big arena. He's very economic. Economic with his voice and with his, he's clever.
Mary Poppins is another one that, you know, you started out as Mrs. Banks and then came back to do it as a hybrid role of the Bird Lady and Miss Andrew. Is that
Miss Andrew? Yeah,
Andrew. Was that your idea to put them together?
It was Cameron's idea. Cameron McIntosh originally, when it was first being cast, he said, "Do you want to play the Bird Woman or do you want to play Miss Andrew?" And I was doing something, but I was like not available.
Yeah.
I can't even remember what it was. This is the last iteration of Mary Poppins, not the original one. And so I said no. And I don't know if he thought I said no because they were smaller roles, because they're great roles, but I don't care if they're small. But then when he sort of came back and said, "What about, would you like to play the two, you know, when you're free for Melbourne?" And I kind of went, yeah.
Is that 2 wages, Cameron?
Yeah. Well, that's double pay.
Yeah.
Yeah, I loved it. I really do love. I'm really loving being older and sort of coming into the richness of what that can afford you. You know, I've never been really scared of not. I think I was so sort of ingenue that I've never been scared of like moving into being old. I like looking ugly on stage. I like grossing up.
All the teeth in the dirt. Yeah.
Yeah, I love blacking my teeth out. I love all that. I love disappearing into all that. And so, no, I loved doing those two roles. And Mary Poppins is just such a fine, fine show in the true sense of the word. You know, it's just so beautifully executed. And we had the most glorious cast with Steph Jones and Jack Chambers in the leads. They were phenomenal. We had a great supporting cast, and I loved it.
Yeah.
I loved it.
So I'll talk a little bit about touring now and the concerts. So,
Yes.
I mean, obviously you've played some very big halls. You're a recording recording artist. You've sung with Jose Carreras, Il Divo, and then you've also played Monthaggy.
Oh, yeah.
And two big national tours, like grueling national tours.
Yeah.
One day here, one day there, all year. One with David Hobbo and Michael Cormick, the other one. Why is that important to you to go and put yourself through that, hard work, if I could, not that you're afraid of it all, but I mean, it's a choice, you know what I mean?
It's a whole different skill working in concert.
Yeah.
It's a completely different thing altogether, and it's that thing of but also working in concert has taught me so much about holding an audience's attention, about playing laughs, and you finally hone your skills when you work in concert. And also, I'm really passionate about bringing what we do to people in regional areas that can't get down to, they can't come to the Opera House, they can't necessarily be at the Princess Theatre, but the performance that I do, last year I did an amazing, like a short tour through the wheat belt district of WA. In these 200-seater, beautiful old town halls in these tiny towns where the whole town comes out. They bring you catering and local food and wine. And those audiences are no different to me than playing at Rod Laver Arena to thousands of people like I am now.
Yeah.
It's no different. It's as dignified in my mind to stand on a stage in a wheat belt town in front of 200 people as it is to play to thousands. I love the cabaret concert skills of chatting, making them laugh. I've honed a lot of like comedy that I use in shows in those concerts, with banter and chatting, and it keeps your skills really fresh and really high.
Yeah.
And you've got to do it with best mates, though. And David Hobson is a best mate, as is Michael Cormick. So you've got to do it with people that are like family.
Yeah.
And we take it so seriously and we care about it so much.
Yeah.
And, we fine-tune it every show. And I think Hobbo and I, the last time we went out touring, I think we did 54 shows. But we have gaps. We come home.
Yeah, no, of course. And I think it's if I may say so, I think it's a real credit to you, because a lot of people wouldn't and don't go out there because it is a lot of work. And, you're playing to 200, 300 seats, the revenue is not going to necessarily be as much as if you're doing, Sydney, Melbourne, Brisbane, Adelaide and Singapore. You go, it's just not. But like you say, it connects you to an audience. And I agree with you. I think it's just as magical. And I think for me, if there's an empty black stage anywhere, those beautiful little town halls, it's just the beauty of possibility and creating a moment there that is exciting, whether it's, like I said, whether there's 10 people or 10,000 watching.
Exactly. And the thing is too, we work up new material. We learn stuff. We get stuff ready for then when we go and do it with the Aussie Pops or the MSO, we get an arrangement done of what we've been playing around with that is uniquely ours as well. So, it's a seeding ground also for your other work. And as I said, the skills that you're honing, I use them every night when I'm working in the theatre.
Yeah.
But more than that, I like seeing our country. And if you're only going to work in the capital cities as a touring concert artist, you're not going to work. But, we'd go into places and Paul Kelly was bumping out, so a lot of people love doing regional. They may not do the tiny wheat belt bit that I did.
Not everyone's batshit crazy, Marina.
Exactly.
You have 3 children? Not.
I actually have 5. I have.
Yes, of course. Yes, there you go. I was going to say plus the cat.
Plus the cat and 2 dogs.
Oh, excellent, great.
So far.
Lovely menagerie.
Yeah.
As a woman in this industry, you know, when you were having children, did you feel at that time supported, unsupported? Like, have we gotten better, you know?
We could get a lot better.
Yeah.
We need childcare. We need childcare, like facilities in theatres for women that, especially women that have got babies. You know, we need more facilities for them, I believe. But I must say that why wasn't it that hard? I don't know. I was really tired. But I had my family and support network around me. And, you know, and when I needed to, I was lucky enough, if I was doing a big show, then I could afford to have a nanny, you know, consistency of care with my kids, not, you know.
Do you think we stayed still a lot longer then? Like those shows, like 3-4 years, like Phantom was at the Princess like forever. And now the big shows do 6 months. So I wonder, you know, what it's like for anyone with a family now, you know, young kids that, you know, you're on tour signing for an 18-month contract and you're in 3 cities. I don't know how you do that.
I think you know, sometimes or a lot of the time my kids would come with me and slip into a primary school for 2 terms.
Yeah, right.
Sydney or whatever. And I like to think that it taught them resilience. I know there's like arguments either way that they like consistency and stability, but it also taught my kids to come into somewhere, make friends, you know, be adaptable, be resilient.
Yep.
And they had the constancy of family around them.
Yeah.
And, you know, they're all pretty great. So they're all grown up now. And I also think it's really important to know that my kids were born to me and I was always a performer.
Yeah.
And so it was me who had them, it wasn't a stay-at-home mum, it was me. And so they've grown up, especially my girls, have grown up watching mum work and understanding that, you know, women work and have careers and have aspirations and desires to achieve things. And I think that's been really good. And both of them are great achievers and, you know, very hardworking. So, yeah, but it's a juggle. It's a juggle.
I don't think I think I know the answer to this already, but has there ever been a point in this career where you've thought, nah, I'm out of here? No.
No, that's not to say that it hasn't been.
No, of course, yes.
I've had years where I haven't, you know, the work hasn't come in, you know, it's especially, COVID. COVID was difficult because I'm married to an actor, and so we both lost work for 2.5 years.
It's a lot.
Yeah, like everybody in the theatre industry, and a lot of people did like leave and pivot at that stage. Look, no, I honestly, I can't believe I get to do what I do. I work really, really hard at it. Like I'm a SWAT. I read up, I study, I know my lines on the first day of rehearsal. I'm a real geek.
Nothing wrong with that.
No, I'm a geek. I put a lot of work in and a lot of passion in, but, you know, I love it. I love this industry. I don't mean that's always easy, because it's not. But have I ever thought about doing anything else? No. The only thing I'd like to be is an archaeologist, and I don't think that's going to happen now. I like ancient history.
I remember before they did up the Regent, and I think at that point we must have done West Side Story at the Princess.
Yes.
I remember going back there to do Beauty and the Beast, and I used to go, because I was a standby, I didn't have a regular gig, but I always used to go under the theatre and up into the roof and exploring all through there and kind of like looking.
In the Regent?
At the Princess, that was.
Oh, at the Princess,
Then I got a tour of the Regent before it got done because I was so obsessed with it. Like, it's kind of like, the old history of all those venues and things. And part of me is a little bit sad they've all been redone. I'm glad they are, obviously.
Yeah.
But I loved the discovery of those kind of nooks and crannies and boxes of things. What is this? And it's kind of like the history of stuff was just amazing.
And I know Elaine Mariner, who, from the Mariners who own the theatre, up in that top room, she has got archives upon archives of staff.
Yeah.
And interestingly, my stepson, Jack, is actually the head of logistics for all of the Mariner theatres.
Right.
And he has inherited, he's also fascinated with like old theatres, theatre memorabilia, the history of the printing. And I believe like they broadcast radio from the top of the Princess Theatre.
Really?
Back in the 50s. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. And Bert Newton was a radio announcer.
Yeah, I was going to say maybe we should set up our podcast up there, but those stairs are horrific, so I don't want to do that. I remember, you've done it more than anybody at that venue, up and down and up and down all those stairs. It's like, get a lift, guys. Come on. It's perfect.
Why don't we get a lift?
I don't know.
Yeah.
So you've done so much already, right? And we've talked a lot about theatre, but you've also, done the television, The Divorce on ABC, and as well as, if I recall, episode of GP where you played a blind woman.
Oh my God!
Which was I think was one of your first forays into television.
I don't do much television at all. I don't like I said, is that there is that thing that is not the case in like Britain and USA.
Yeah,
where if you're music theatre, you're just not. You're not even considered really for telly.
No, it's ridiculous because I think you're absolutely right. That idea that you like because it's not theatre people. They kind of go, musical people can't act, right? There's that thing. And they go, theatre people can, but they're too big. Also ridiculous and wrong because if it's truthful, it's truthful. And it all comes from the same kind of creative kernel of truth and honesty, right? And so it is crazy. And I think it is getting better. And it's awesome to see, I had Eddie Perfect in the other day as well, and he's managed, he's a creature of the theatre, but then he did all that time on Offspring, and now he's running Broadway, and you go, it's great, and it's really interesting and amazing. So they can all stick those rules where they don't.
Yeah, exactly. But there is a bit of that. But hey,
it is what it is.
I can't complain. I mean, I'm okay, but
Yeah, but what's next for you? Because I can't see you slowing down. Like you say, you're really enjoying this time, and it's such a rich time as well. What do you hope to do on the bucket list?
There's so many. I would just like to, my person I look up to is Nancy Hayes.
Yes,
I adore her. She's a good friend, and I've always looked up to Nance, and she continues to work into her 80s, and she's just finished an STC play, and she's amazing. I would love to just continue, not just to do good work, but to continue to evolve. I want to just keep kind of getting better at what I do. Having said all that, I said I am a singer, and I'm so passionate about all this. But actually, the real defining thing in my life is my husband and my kids. So that kind of, when you've got that solid base as a human, I feel like that actually gives you if you've got that solid base, then you can be brave and creative with your career, because I'm not scared of failing. I'm not. So I'll do anything, really.
Amazing. So
if they pay me.
yeah, of course. It's not for free. As long as there's at least 2 paying customers. I mean, there's that old rule, isn't there? There's got to be more people in the audience than there are on stage.
Yes, exactly.
It's perfect. Look, I might just head to our little wrap-up section here where I seek, a range of bumper sticker quotes from you, if I may.
Yep.
So if I was to talk to you about philosophies, do you have a mantra you live by in your life?
I've got a couple. One is just family first, always.
Always also about political party.
My chosen family, but family first. Not the family first party. No.
Vote family first, she said. No. Family
first, but as my mother always said to me, what other people think of you is none of your business. I always live by that, especially in this industry.
Yeah, gosh, it's so true, isn't it?
You can let go of that, you can do anything.
Yeah, probably a good segue. Who do you think taught you the most important lesson in your life?
My mum. My mum taught me that self-belief is everything, not conceit, but just a solid self-belief will get you through just about anything.
Clearly that has worked, for you, because it is, and like I said, it is that not conceit. And you
No, that's painful. No. Not arrogance, not conceit, just self-belief. Yeah.
Yeah. If you had to pick one milestone that has had the most profound effect on you, what would you say it was, whether that's personal, career?
Oh, look, the greatest milestone any woman would tell you is when I became a mum.
Yeah.
Having a child, my first child, is just a defining moment. The extreme love that you feel is so strong that you feel bruised by it. But interestingly, I think it also, being a mother, made me a better actor or better performer, because it gave me a depth of feeling to draw on. But also it gave me, when I became a mum, I stopped being scared of failing. I used to be terrified that I might fail professionally. But because when you've got a child, you think, well, nothing else matters. If I bomb tonight on stage or get the worst reviews that I've ever got in my life or whatever, they're still going to want to go to the park with me and play on the swing. It sort of gives you a bravery and a carelessness at the same time with your career, where you just go, oh, I don't care. So, yeah, that was my defining.
Yeah, right. I just literally, funny you say that, because Jennifer Lawrence, Oscar-winning actress, literally I heard a reporter just say the other day, she said the same thing. Now she's a mother, so didn't realise she could feel the things she could feel. No. She's been through that process. And
and the rage of protection too. Like if somebody was bullying any of my kids, I had to be restrained from going and tearing their throat out at school.
Which is not the Marina we know on stage. No, it's Christine Day.
There's fierceness, there's a power that comes in being a mum.
Yeah. What would you say would be the biggest mistake or a regret that you might have, if you have them?
I don't really do regret.
Excellent.
I just don't do it, because I've made plenty of mistakes, and there's been painful and difficult things in my life, but I've been through divorce. That's always pain. I've been through all sorts of things, but I just don't deal in regret. I deal in learning from what went wrong, or what happened, or what bad choice I may have made at various times in my life. And I learn from it, but I always just stay in the now, because regrets, I don't think it helps.
I would 100% agree.
The only thing I might regret is there was an opportunity to go to London when I was younger a couple of times, and I stayed in Australia. Do I regret it? No, but I think I would have liked the adventure of going over there.
You'd like to have a little do-over for some sliding doors there and kind of go, oh, what would that
look? What would have happened if I did, go over?
Yeah.
But, this country has been so extraordinarily wonderful for me. And so, like even that, I don't regret. I just wonder what would have happened. But
I think you're not alone in that. Like everyone I've spoken to, everyone says regret is pointless. It's useless. It doesn't help you.
No.
So, and it is a lovely point to hear reiterated, because I do agree with that as well. And it can be hard sometimes, because you can realise you might be experiencing that and doing it and latching onto it, and it kind of holds you back in some way. And I think you just got to let it go,
Learn from it, That's the biggest thing.
Yeah.
But regret, never, because there's always something that came out of it that was worth it,
Yeah. Look, last question for you. What's the biggest thing you feel you've had to overcome to be where you are today?
Not that it was I don't see it as a huge problem, but, I mean, in terms of career, it was pushing boundaries so that people would see me in a different role, a different style of performance. And caught up in that is, I guess, I think every performer, if they're honest, has to overcome fear of being judged, by your peers, walking into the first day of rehearsal and thinking, I don't belong here, and they're going to find out that I'm actually not that good. All that sort of stuff.
Yeah.
Going through self-doubt. I think every performer, if they're honest, goes through some of that, where they feel like, oh, what do they think of me? What if they think of me? But then I've just overcome it by, like my mum said, what anyone thinks of me really is none of my business. Just keep doing the work,
Yeah. Wonderful. Well, again, thank you so much for taking the time.
I've loved it. It's been so lovely to chat to you.
Yeah, and, I really look forward to, Kimberly Akimbo, that'll be MTC and in South Australia as well. Looking forward to see what you do with that piece, and continuing to watch you evolve and grow and show us new and fun characters, because it's been awesome so far.
Oh, thank you.
Well, that's it for this episode of McLaren Versus. I am Spencer McLaren. Thank you for spending some time with us. If you enjoyed this chat, don't forget to follow and leave us a review.